Hello, everybody. My name is Jayton Gunter. I'm the owner of Grapes and Sam Publishing, and I'm going to try this out. I've never done this before. I have a friend who does this very well, and another author who does this very well, and I'm going to definitely shout him out because he is one of the reasons why this even came to my mind of doing it, but not specifically the way he does it. Not as frequent because he's amazing at what he does, and I'm gonna get into that in a second. But what I'm gonna be doing is I'm gonna be not reviewing books because I don't want to I'm just gonna tell you how it made me feel and go over it a little bit. But I also don't want to spoil it for people. But I am gonna talk about specifically once a month a fiction book that I've read in the last month that I think is going to be really cool for you to check out. And so that's what I'm doing here. I have a book that I read called Hell of a Book by Jason Mott. It was published in 2021. Here is the book right here. And so the reason I'm doing this is because I with the newsletter and me having my fiction week, I just wanted to add some more substance for you guys, a little bit more of meat on the bone for people who are paying monthly for the newsletter. So the reason why I'm reviewing this book specifically is because I just thought it was a wonderful book. I think there's a lot of things going on in this book. There's cross storylines. There is current and past storylines going on at one time synonymously. And I just thought that was really cool the way Jason kind of curated the whole thing. It's like he's a master conductor, and he'll take a little bit of this and drop it in here, and a little bit of this and drop it in here. And as a writer, I mean, when you see somebody who can pull this off, you kind of be like, wow, this is damn good. And yeah, so that was one of the reasons I liked it. I think one of the big things this book does is for people who don't really care about the depth of what's going on, because this book can get really deep. For people who don't care about the depth but just want something that's funny and clean cut and to the point for the most part, and very easy reading. There's that here definitely. But then for the people who are like me, who are are frequent readers and love a lot of different types of love to kind of analyze the style of writing and the characters and the plot and all that good stuff, it has a lot of that here too. A lot of complexity going on here. And speaking of complexity, that's why I like wine so much. As you can see, I have a glass of wine in front of me, and so this is not going to be the average book, I guess, analysis instead of review. I'm going to be drinking wine. I'm going to be having some fun. I got some incense playing, going on back here. I'm just in a vibe right now. And so that's how I'm going to be bringing it to you guys every once a month. I'm going to try this out. If you guys like it, cool. Please let me know. If you don't like it, let me know. I don't know if I'll stop, but it is something to consider with my time too. So anyway, just so you know what I'm drinking on too, because everybody who knows me, if you've been following me for a long time, you know I drink wine for a living, and I review bottles and all that stuff, and I've written a couple books about wine. So today we're talking about the Aligote it's out of Burgundy, 2022, as you can see here. And the cool thing about this is I'm not going to go into it at all with you right now because this is not about that. I will tell you though, I just reviewed it on my Wine Still of the Week that I drop every single week on Fridays. I just reviewed it, and so you can go to Jayton Gunter on Instagram or any app or any platform, and you'll be able to find my review on it. I break it down. It's about 10 minutes long review, and it's a wonderful wine. Since it was so wonderful, I wanted to drink it while I was talking to you guys. So give me a second. I'm gonna take a little sip, and I'm gonna get deeper into this. So the person who does this way better than me, and I want to spotlight him and shout him out, is Jafari Joseph. He is a writer and loves Black literature. He has this thing hashtag called Captioned Black Art. You have to check this stuff out. His newsletter is Stem Group Petals, and he basically does weekly. He has new stuff about books that he's been reading, and he breaks them down and brings those quotes in there. I mean, it's done he's very proficient in the way he does it. It's very succinct and very clean. You learn a lot about stuff with just 5 minutes of reading. You learn a lot about what's going on with this writer that he's highlighting. And yeah, if you want to check out some really, really good reviews and good, like, some stuff you should add to your own bookshelf, go check out Stem Group Pedals, because it's outstanding. I'm just being honest with you. This is outstanding. Really good stuff. He's also a published author under my publishing company, Grapes and Sand. I had the pleasure of publishing his first novella called The Valley of Heart's Delight, and that's available at grapesandsand.com. It's really, really dope. It's in my opinion, it's a coming of age novella from a Black perspective of someone who lives in Silicon Valley, and understanding, like, kind of maneuvering through grief and maneuvering through life, and music being a big part of how they do this. It's just a really wonderfully written book. And so if you get a chance, go check out Valley of Heart's Delight at grapesandsand.com. It's a really outstanding piece of literature. And so how I stumbled onto this book, hell of a book. I was in a store, and I you know me, I'm a writer. And as a writer, I'm always looking for other Black writers. I'm looking for all types of writers, of course, because I'm open to everything. But I'm always looking for, like, really, really dope Black literature, and specifically contemporary, like in this present day, because a lot of the stuff that people talk about from Black authors are previous works, like Ralph Ellison and those guys back in the day that were killing it during the Renaissance period. People go to that as, like, really high level Black writing. Black literature, and I saw this book, and I immediately saw the title, hell of a book, and I said, oh, I'm not buying this. I was like, there's no way I'm getting this book. It's too on the nose. I'm a deep person. I'm not gonna get this book. As I kept on walking around, I was in this bookshop in San Francisco. I'm walking around, grabbed a couple other books, but for whatever reason, I kept on going back to the cover of this book. And I was like, okay, let me just, as I'm scrolling, I'm going to look at my phone and, like, just look up some reviews on this book, but not really reviews, just kind of like, what's the concept behind this book? So I started reading up on some stuff, and I'm like, oh, this is interesting. Oh, interesting, cool. And I was like, okay, well, let me go ahead and check it out. So that's what I did. I bought the book, and I will tell you, thank God I did not buy this book because of this cover. The way it starts off is pretty phenomenal in my opinion. I really like the way it starts off. I like that this is based off of a author on a book tour, signing tour, and some of the stuff that happens to him as he's going throughout his tour life of this. And it's very funny because we all have this idea of what it looks like to be on a book tour as a writer, and he totally debunks all of that. It's hilarious. And some of the stuff he sees, some of the stuff he encounters, I'll tell you, the first couple chapters, you'll see what I'm talking about. The way this one scene finishes up, you will be crying laughing. It's hilarious. The guy has some really, really funny scenes in here, and wonderfully written scenes here. So that was my first impression of the book. I was like, I'm not getting it, but then I ended up getting it because of some of the stuff I was reading about it. And then I started reading it, and I was like, this is outstanding. This really has three main characters in the book. We have the author, who's the guy who's on the book tour, and they don't ever give him a name here, which is really interesting. I like that. Some of the stuff he says, you're just like, do I believe him or do I not believe him? So he's like the voice of certain things. You're like, I don't know about this guy. He's kind of all over the place. You can tell there's been some trauma in his background. There's some stuff that he's running away from. Some really deep racial stuff that I think that he's running away from, in my opinion. But he's very smart, very witty, just a little off sometimes. The other person is a kid. The kid, kind of like an imaginary friend of the author, and that keeps on showing up to him during this book tour. It's really interesting to watch it because he really is this kid just keeps on showing up and showing up and showing up, and he doesn't know whether he's real or imaginary at all. And so he really is trying to figure out why this kid keeps on coming up and questioning him and making him think of things he hasn't thought about for years. He has to go back to certain things and things that have actually, I guess, transformed him into who he is right now. And then there's this other character who's like a really main character named Soot. I'm sorry, Soot. Rural black kid and from the past that is basically this idea of the world that this author lives in, which is kind of like surreal in some cases, like very kind of like out there and very like he doesn't see certain things because it doesn't really touch his world. He has a little bubble going on. This kid is the real. This kid doesn't have time to be worried about, imaginary stuff and like what his perspective is. He lives in the real world. His perspective is the real world, and it's hard for him to escape that because his skin doesn't allow for him to escape it. He's really a dark pigmented kid. And he gets bullied a lot, and it's just we talk about a lot of his story and a lot of things that are going on with him makes things that made him vulnerable, things that like he had to fight against, overcome. It just really shows the idea of different, the idea of black people not being a monolith is exactly what these characters kind of show, because totally different perspectives on here. I will read a couple like small quotes that I thought were interesting, just 2 or 3, and then I'll let this go because again, this is my first time. I wanted to just kind of see how this goes. But there's some passages that really stood out to me. One was on chapter 1, page 4. One of the characters says, "He was a man who had been afraid of the eyes of others for all of his life. How could he not want his child to learn the impossible trick of invisibility?" So basically the father of Soot had some ideas about how things that happened to him, and he wanted Soot to learn how to be invisible so that he never had to, so he was safe. He didn't want him to be in danger. He knew that his pigment of skin was gonna affect him in life, judgments, bullying. He knew because he had similar pigment himself. And so because he was conscious that he really, as a father does, he wants to protect his kid. And so he tries to tell his kid and reinforce this idea that be invisible. Don't rock the boat. Don't move too much. Don't draw attention to yourself, because that's when they start going at you. And that was an interesting theme throughout the book. To me, hearing that and just thinking about the idea of like not being seen to be safe, I understand that. I really do. But it also makes it so that you can't vocalize when something's hurting you. You can't have a voice when things are affecting you. And I believe, in all honesty, that there's no, it really talks about like how much you really love yourself by like self-love. I mean, how much you really actually love yourself if you're able to keep yourself from speaking your truth, and allow people to continue to denigrate you and bully you and not have a voice to defend yourself with. I feel like if you don't have at least a voice to defend yourself, I'm not saying physical, but like a voice to defend yourself, how are you supposed to really claim that you really love yourself? And I believe that's going to tap into the next quote that I saw here from this is a first person narrative, and this is from the author. He says on chapter 2, page 10, he says, "The thing to remember is this: above all else, this is a love story. Don't ever forget that." So, although there's things going on between the author and the opposite sex, and like, just parents and their kids and all that stuff, all these, stories that are moving kind of on the same parallel to each other, one of the things that I noticed was that what I felt like it throughout the whole book, and you'll understand this as you get into the book, and I don't think this is a spoiler. I think it really is a love story. It's about finding the love within yourself, finding like your voice, finding your voice, basically, finding and understanding the things that happen within yourself that you should not be limiting. You should be allowing people to hear and see that, yes, you have space, you make space for yourself. And so that was one of the things I really enjoyed with this, that this really is a love story, even though at the time when he's saying it, you're thinking in your head, like, this is not no love story. You're crazy. There's no love here. But as you get through it, I think you start realizing that this really is a love story here. And then lastly, let me take a sip of wine. Getting a little thirsty, a little parched, you know. Okay, so chapter 30, page 318, this passage says, "And I know it because he and I are the same. Me and everyone who looks like me are the same. We all carry that same weight. We all live lives under the hanging sword of fear." This whole passage, actually, when I'm trying to understand what the author is saying with this, it feels like it's a deconstruction of the black community. I think Jason here is trying to do it in a way where it's not heavy-handed, but keeping it real. I feel like Jason here is really trying to show that although we are not a monolith, all black people are not the same. There are some similarities in the way that in the weight that we carry as black people because of our experiences, and we all have similar experiences. If you talk to any black person about being pulled over by the police or how they feel around police, it's similar. I don't care, like, being honest, I don't care what financial group they come from, where they come from for the most part. A lot of times, they've all had at least one experience where they're just like, yeah, it's like you get this tightness, you know what I mean? So there is something to be said about the experiences and the weight and some of the stuff that the history that we share. There's something to be said about that and how that affects us in our daily life. And I feel like it's okay to do that. I feel like this exploration of that should be something that we're afraid of. Because we do come from a place of fear a lot of times in daily life. It feels like we're always afraid of something. Even when we have our chest out and we think we walk in a room like we own it, sometimes that's a defense mechanism too, you know? Like, it's just keeping it real. That's just what it is. Like, we have to move in this world and protect ourselves. And sometimes, as a defense, because of fear, we overcompensate sometimes. Just keeping it real. That's how at least, not everybody. Let me just bring me to the table. I know I have done that. I know I have walked in a room that I was nervous about and just overdid it, you know, to let people know not to test me or not to cross me. And I was a lot younger, but I can reflect on that and be like, yes, I moved in fear there, even though it looked like I wasn't. I was in fear of not being accepted, of a lot of things, to be honest with you. And I think once we realize and learn to rise above that, and we don't live in this kind of like survival state, more of a we're going to try to accomplish more and thrive state, I think then we'll be able to, these conversations we can look back at and not feel so triggered when we read things like this. Because some of this stuff is very triggering. But I think once we get into the thriving stage of our lives, we can look back at this just like a fond memory and be like, yeah, this is what was really going on. We could be objective about what the feelings were in that moment, instead of being triggered by them. So that's pretty much all I had. I did want to, like, in conclusion of this, really quick, I really, really did enjoy reading this book. I thought this was a wonderful book. I think this is the perfect book to start off with for, you know, this series or whatever, this monthly series of me reading the book. I really love the concepts here. I love the themes. I love the questioning of oneself's perspective, even if it's how you thought for your whole life. Changing that perspective in present time, present day, I think that's really cool. And there's always room to grow as a person, as a man, as a woman, as a black person, as a whatever you are. There's always room to grow. I don't care how old you get. And once you stop growing, I think you die. So it is that too. So anyway, that's all I got for you guys. Hope you guys subscribe to this channel. I got a lot more stuff coming your way. And you know what? Cheers.